So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the IroC podcast. My name is IroC, and this is the intellectual relations of consciousness. So, after some time, people heard me for not like having women on the podcast, and it was like a thing that is going on. I was getting questions like, "So when are you having like the first woman coming?" And and because me, I'm a people's person, I took that very much into consideration, and I was like, who do I actually get, and how do I get them? So the specific criteria for namhlanje, you had to be young and pretty and achieving, doing the things. So if you think that I just got like any random woman, brace yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the intellectual relations of consciousness, and welcome to the IroC podcast. So on today's episode, we do not only have one, but two, right? I mean, I had to like go in that deep and finding out who are they and what do they do. Yeah, one. Because it's women, and I don't like to be, not to say put them on the spotlight, ne? But I don't want ukuthi ngibakhulume kabi, because it has been tough as a gent, to talk about women, especially women who have such beautiful and rising careers, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, sitting on my far right, it's Kutloano, also known as K1 Wolf. and in the center, we are having all the way from Kotembisa Pumulong. Tembisa, rise up. Your girl is here to do the most. We are having Nangamso Kyala. Do I say Kyala or Kyala? Kyala. Yeah. Katie, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, and you?
Thanks. And thanks for honoring this invitation. I mean, stuff we wanted to discuss here, they are not easy topics to tackle, especially being a young woman of color and growing up in townships. Katie, you grew up in Soweto.
Yes, that's correct.
And pretty much your entire life you've been Soweto.
Oh yes,
and Reese, you also been in township, go Pumlong, right? Even though Bariki, the suburb of Tembisa. Do you know that they don't actually experience load shedding?
You can't say that. Yeah, don't tell people.
Oh, but
they're gonna take it away from us. Don't tell people.
Hi, yo guys, we were showering blackout is serious. There was no, the whole day it was bad.
It was
but
terrible.
I'm not sure if you guys have checked out the podcast. If you've checked out, you know what's coming, right?
Yeah,
sure?
We have an idea.
We have an idea.
An idea, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna ask you a simple question, which kinds of entails what type of a person do you perceive yourself to be, or what do you think yourself, what do you think about yourself? Right. So I'm not sure who to start with. Which one?
You can start with
Kutloano, ne?
ladies first.
The K1 Wolf. Right. Without going too much deep into the name K1 Wolf, right? We have two types of wolves, I think, right? In the pack, right? We got that one wolf who's thrown into the den of wolves and came back leading the pack, right? We also have the wolf who is a leader, but if you look closely and precisely, if you scrutinize that wolf, is actually a sheep in a wolf's clothing. So which one do you think you are?
Well, that's actually I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It depends. Sometimes it's vice versa.
So it depends on what?
Okay, sometimes I don't like the leadership role, but then you have to take it up anyway.
Yeah.
So then I'm forced to take it up anyway in the spaces that I am within. So
Okay.
I think I'd be the second one.
The second one. So you think you are not really a wolf, but you are actually a sheep? But just that, growing up guys, you have to have like
Yeah,
those
you have
wolf.
to have that thing, Mara. You must be soft on the inside so people
Yeah.
can like you. But when the leadership role is pulled in front of me, then I have to take it. So
Yeah.
sheep in wolf's clothing.
And Reese, right? Obviously, I can ask you the same question. Like by now, you're thinking, Uguti, okay, no, I think Mina, I'm that wolf was thrown. But we have these two animals here, like from the IroC jungle, right?
Yeah.
We have the lion and we have the zebra. Story behind it, for context, is every day a lion wakes up and it says, in order for me to survive, I need to eat that zebra. And the zebra wakes up and says, in order for me to survive this day, I need to make sure that I do not get eaten by the lion. So, when in this, which animal do you think you are? But then at the end of the day, both of the animals are doing the same thing, which is just to survive. So, which one do you think you are?
I think that I'm a zebra because I spend so much time trying not to get eaten. But the more I'm into like spaces in the activism, sorry guys,
Activism?
in the activism space,
Sure.
I feel like I'm going to be more of a lion. So I think it's a transition from the zebra to the lion.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And tell me, how has it been, to like be in the activism space for you?
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
Honestly, because when you start, it's like, okay, I just wanna figure out what they're doing.
Sure.
I'm gonna insert myself into the situation, and then you get to like see what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah.
It has been like a learning curve for me actually, because I meet a lot of people who are great, and I get to take away something from them, and I get to learn a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that people put out there, and you just like apply for them, and you learn, you go places. So yeah, it's been a journey.
But going
Like,
places, going places has to be nice, And I mean, like talking about going places on the far right, we have someone who just was in Tunisia, on like some camp there, and climate justice camp. It's actually called that, the climate justice camp. So to know more about what the climate justice camp is, please go to the first ever podcast to be uploaded on this platform, which was with me and August Maluka, to find out. Can't put her on the spotlight to explain what that is. But how was that, Joe? Like the trip?
Oh, it was very. It helped me grow.
Yeah.
It showed me like what I am truly capable of. At the time, I wish I went when I was in a space that I am right now, because
Yeah.
like I'm fully aware of the spaces that I put myself in.
Oh.
I engage in things more. I put myself out there, and I think that's one of the things that I took from there as well. That if you really want to fight for something, especially with regards to environmental issues that we're facing now,
Yeah.
people may think they're like isolated, but in all facts, like we're all experiencing something that is common somewhere along the line. So that really taught me, like it educated me in ways that I couldn't even express. Like I took from it a lot.
Yeah. But okay. Before we move on, right? There's a lot we need to discuss here, right? Tell me, who are you? Like, who are you? For the listeners, for the viewers, who is Kutloano? What is Kutloano about?
Okay, so I am a climate and environmental activist. I am a volunteer for Greenpeace Africa.
Yeah.
I am a master's student at the University of Johannesburg.
Yes, that's why.
Guys.
That's why.
So I really just want to make sure that, yeah, like you know when you mention your name, like people must know, like,
Okay.
but it must be modest, like it must,
Yeah.
it must be humble, but like you must know. So yeah, that's just me, and I just basically love showing like I love helping other people and the impact that it has on them. Good, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just me.
Reese,
Yes.
tell us, Mugela, what Tembisa. No pressure though, because like, hey, like, especially you two women, like, guys, I come from like Etwatwa, you know, guys, like, Anyaz na Etwatwa, you know, Nina Nazi Davidson, but coming from Tembisa, you know, and like with the greatest, like, coming from like that township, how do you identify yourself? Like, who are you, and how do you get inspired by that?
Yeah, okay, let me start with the second one. You
Yeah.
know, when I think of Tembisa,
Sure.
I don't think of like the bad things that people talk about. I actually think about the energy and the opportunities that people could have or have in Tembisa. Like there's a lot that could happen. I see people and I'm like, there's a lot of potential here.
Yeah.
You know? So I take a lot away from that. And who I am, I feel like I said, I'm transitioning, I'm morphing into something great. Like it's every single month, I'm like, okay, it's way better than it was a month ago.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm a person who's like constantly growing. So yeah.
And to be honest, from a friend's perspective, I wish you can see yourself through my eyes. For example, Nangamso, right? Nangamso comes from we met through like equal education.
Yeah.
You know, and like it was just like from dealing with like a certain group in Tembisa, you know, a certain group like actually let me just say a certain group in Eastern, you know, to now like her blossoming to like starting to like visit like people in Mpumalanga and in Durban and like
Yeah.
standing in front of a crowd. Like wow. You know, and I mean like we have KT all the way from like Soweto, not the dusty streets of Soweto, but from Soweto, you know, to like international platforms, you know, and now doing like a master's degree. It's not just any other like young black woman who would come into that, right? But tell me, how has the toxic masculinity affected your work?
Okay, so firstly, maybe we can unpack what do we mean by toxic masculinity, right?
Yeah.
So, Mina, I take away from that duty masculinity can be the accepted behaviors that we expect of men in society.
Yeah.
And toxic masculinity can be, you know, the very inappropriate kind of behaviors that we receive from them.
Sure.
Most of the time, the spaces that we fill ourselves in,
Yeah.
one, because you're a woman of color, it can be very difficult to kind of prove yourself and to literally just find yourself. And from my experience, I personally haven't experienced that much of toxic masculinity around me.
Yeah.
Because I just basically feel like because of the kind of person that I am, I always gravitate towards people that also reciprocate that kind of energy. So yeah, I just think yeah, not to say that people don't really experience like bad things around them.
Sure.
But like I've always just been lucky enough to be around beautiful people that understand. Or I'm sensitive. I'm very sensitive. So yeah.
And
That's just
Reese,
me.
Yes.
on your side, toxic masculinity?
I wouldn't say I've been in a space where there's been like a display of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
But growing up, you would see that some things were more favored to guys. Like they would give certain tasks to guys instead of girls, or they'd be like they would assume you wouldn't know how to do something, and they would give roles that are important, and they would give them to the male kids. So you're just like, okay, you don't have a word for it then, but now when you think about it, like okay, it serves as a form of toxic masculinity. But now in this space and with the person that I am, or the person I'm trying to be, is I'm gonna assert myself in a space where I am in the leadership role. I'm not gonna let anyone else dictate that or take it for themselves because of their gender.
Sure.
You know? So yeah.
And touching on like leadership, right? And being a young black woman, right? What does that take away from you? Like being a leader, right? Because I believe there's two things into it, right? As a leader, there are things where you will get more empowered on, right? Talking about women empowerment. But there are things that it actually takes away from you as a woman, right? For some people, it might be the comfort of like being used to like being a woman, and there is a certain treatment that you get, like, you know, from people. And now people are no longer going to treat you the same because you are a woman and you are fulfilling a leadership role. So with that, what leadership like has it impacted you on, like being a young black woman in a leadership role?
I feel like it doesn't have as many cons as it does pros, because you're doing something great, you know. So
Sure.
you're not exactly focusing on the bad things. It's like, okay, I'm a woman in a leadership role. That's
Yeah.
something to applaud, and I'm not gonna look at how a man would feel about that. You know,
Okay.
it's more of I'm inspiring someone else. I'm inspiring a younger girl to say that I want to be like that. And I feel like we should be looking more on the things that are positive when it comes to women in leadership roles, instead of focusing on the reasons why it's bad, or maybe it's frowned upon, or we're just trying to assert ourselves too much. We should be looking at the things that make it like a start. Like we should be saying that you see that girl, she's doing this. You can do that also. We should be focusing on the good stuff.
I like the women empowerment actually that you put yourself into, right? But with that being said, I'm not sure about you two ladies when you were introduced to this, right? I was introduced to like the term feminism 7 years back, if not 6 years back. But when I think about it and what it actually does, right, is that for the past 10 years or so, right, it has been like moving, right? It has been a thing that everyone keeps on like talking about. It has been a thing that everyone keeps on rolling about. Whether it's like in schools, you know, like in churches, like any place where the community is gathered, right? We saw the rise of feminists, right? And there were two types of women that I myself saw rising, right? So, for example, there is the kind of like Nangamso who would like put themselves like in the forefront just so that other women can be empowered, be it in workspaces where like there was like unfair like dismissals or unfair like payments that were made because of their women, right? And then there are women who, in the umbrella of feminism, they just hate men, right? Where have you been in that situation as women?
I think I find myself gravitating towards that of making sure that women feel equal in society,
Yeah,
because like it also gives into like the previous thing that she said, like the people that you have around you have a really big role on how you see yourself and how you treat others. So Mina, I feel like I would resonate with the one that favors for women's equal treatment in society, because many times we've often had to make sure that we get at the top of the class, or we make sure that we are recognized more than the male figure in the workplace, or we make sure that in everything that we do, we always have to come up as close or better than them, because why we were always told, oh, okay, well, you can't do certain things because you're a woman, or you can't do certain things because it just makes you fragile within society. So I think
right.
I resonate with the first.
Yeah,
And you?
More or less the same, man. Because I don't know about the one way it's about hating men.
yeah, yeah.
Because we have brothers, we have uncles and stuff like that. You can just like hate every man out there. That's not where I stand.
Yeah.
I stand with, when we talk about feminism, it's about the empowering of women, especially young women, young adolescent women who are gonna come after you. If they are empowered, then they know that they are capable of so much in this world. Then we have a better generation that's going to come after us. And it's about that. When we're saying feminism, we should talk about uplifting and actually saying that there's a space, there's a podium for women, for little girls, for them to have someone to look up to. That's where I stand.
And with little girls' name, there was this story, Katie. I'm not sure if like you've read about it, but it made headlines, all around, about a girl who like claimed that this high school boy raped him, and I think they were in the same class. Then the boy committed suicide, and then said it's a joke. After that, right? We're just gonna use that for context, but it's a thing of, and I think without mentioning names, right? Me and Reese have been in like those spaces where we saw a rise of men who were removed into their positions because with the use of like sexual accusations, right? So it's something that has been happening in the country, and that is why then I come into like, there are women who just are gonna use feminism as a scapegoat, but in honest fact, they actually hate gents.
Yeah.
I think that's an individual thing. When you have certain men in your life that either disappoint or use you, and then you generalize, and then you just say, instead of like, if there's a group of men that I hate, you just say all men in general. I don't think they do it out of spite. It's just that with all the men that they've dealt with, it's always been disappointment, so that they just put the all men under an umbrella.
Yeah. And with that being said, Katie, right? We are shooting, and we are shooting in 163 Smith Street. So if you want to access this space, you can come through in Ubuntu Hub, right? But then we are shooting in Bram, right? Right at the back of like here, you see like young women who look good, right? And it's something that it has been introduced, right, to us to say, yo, this is us, right? And this is what we've been about, right? And that's where like most of feminists come from, to say, as young women, you guys need to look good, right? You guys need to like sound good, right? But in looking good, young women currently have lured themselves into prostitution because of that.
And I think that's where like we battle with the concept of slay queen. Like how then like coming into that concept, I've always known slay queen are those girls that are always on point, weave looks good, nails look nice, like from top to bottom, you can see she knows her story. And I feel like that's where like it got kind of messed up, because now people are doing it for the wrong reasons. So I will not judge. I'm not here to judge. But then like the concept itself, people started, gravitating to the other side.
Yeah.
So, it's this problem of, let me not even say a problem, like this thing, Yuguti, now it's a thing, like people use their body and their good looks and to really make money. Like it's a thing now.
And don't you think it comes off with a thing of and hear me well, ne? I'm not bashing out feminists.
No,
right?
we hear you.
I'm not bashing out feminists, right?
No,
The entire point of this, ne, is that we need to educate like the 100 girls who'll be watching this episode to say, yo, there's this that's happening, right?
Yeah.
We are introduced to a show where basically it's just women who are working in the sex industry, and they're like, yo, this is what's happening, and I'm living my reality, right? And it kind of seems like we glorify it in a way, right? But back to what feminists have been saying, right? Of which I don't see anything wrong with that.
Same,
right?
same.
There's nothing wrong with you coming in and say, be comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
Right? You are human after all. As gents, if we are walking in the beach and we are half naked, sure, cool. That's what we want to do. Right? And if as women you want to like show off your body, that's also absolutely fine.
But then the thing I have a problem is, why is it that nowadays, like when us women are half naked in society, it's a problem, but when guys are half naked, then it's not a problem.
Okay, maybe let's talk about like being half naked is the one. Because there's like showing off your breast, because us is
But it's her body.
yeah, sure, it's your. I'm not saying that's wrong, right? I'm trying to understand the two. Like,
Okay.
do you have like your sport bra, your bra on, or like are you like showing off your breast and stuff? Because even us as gents, you can say, but you gents are also showing off your breast, right? Like, that's what we are living in, right? I'm not sure which one is it between the two. So how do we like say that a woman is half naked and a woman is naked?
When as a gent, how is a woman half naked and
Yeah.
naked?
But sure. I think maybe I'll base it on me and what I know and how I grew up, right? Basically, it's still taboo even for a gent to walk in the street half naked. Like,
Or even with your shirt off.
yeah, like your shirt off. If like as a gent you're gonna like pull up and then actually I used to do modeling.
Really?
Yeah. I used to do modeling. Hey, one thing I was known for, I can panel our six pack. And then there came a time I was like, I'm no longer gonna do this.
Or you outgrew it.
Yeah, like I outgrew it. I was like, I can't. And
What made you outgrow it?
It was because if I'm gonna walk right without my shirt on, do I want to have a partner who's also allowed to walk with their shirt not on?
Okay.
Right. So it was me to say, if I want to like have a family like this, if I want to have friends like this, then I need to behave like this. Right. Where I start to also be in circles where my friend would come and say, yeah, Ntwana yazi izolo Ntwana simshayile uzibani. I'm like, dude, why did you do that? And it's like, no, it's because like upeminyaupe and claim ukuthi like umalume wami umrapile, and I know it wasn't true. I was like, where were you?
Exactly.
You know, like but malume manyakaza yenza. I was like, dude, I'm not gonna
Either way.
glorify. And I noticed like how the conversation changes from very into when I was like, dude, wait, let's go back. Uzushaya umfazi. I like, no, dog, it's because, and then they start to justify
They always
it.
justify
Right.
it.
So whether
There's
you
a term
justify
for
it,
that actually.
for real.
Yeah, when you change your view on something after you see somebody's reaction, it's actually called Schrodinger's douchebag.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
What?
What
Schrödinger's
douchebag?
douchebag.
Is
When a person changes their view on something after they see your reaction to it.
So
Schrödinger's douchebag.
we learn everything on the podcast. We learn every day. Schrodinger's douchebag, and with Schrodinger's douchebag, yeah, I've seen gents changing their perspective on like and their views based on like what I've been saying, right? And that's my thing. I've been talking to gents. Gents, you can't hit a woman for any reason, none whatsoever, right? And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not, right? But if as a gent we can all like go out and try to better ourselves, right? That makes things to become even much more simpler for like everyone, right? Then it becomes a thing of prostitution becomes less, right? Because people view prostitution as like that woman ome estratweni and it's like, yo, you know. But in townships, there is a gent obuyothenga amagwinya ekuseni and there's a girl ongadlanga and it's like, yo, cela ungithengele, like, sambe sendlini sophuza coffee together, right? Even after that, like, it's already prostitution because like they were hungry, you have amagwinya, went,
Oh, it's like a
you know,
exchange.
yeah, and then like if for any reason whatsoever you had to do something or you had to give something in order for you guys to like be intimate, you know, then it's prostitution. So if as gents we can be used with, you know, if Reese wants something, I'm able to give it to Reese without expecting anything in return, right? Then there won't be like a need for that girl to think, "Okay, in order for me to access that I want to access, I need to have like some intimacy with this gent."
I think it also goes back to the fact that in every individual, there needs to be that certain tip point or that certain, I don't know, man, area that you find yourself in or space. And then you're just like, you know what? It's time to grow. I can't be doing such things, or I can't be treating people this way, or I can't be wanting these things in exchange. So I think that's more of what people need to do. Need to find it in themselves and not change.
Yeah.
Be a douchebag.
So I just want us to touch a bit about education, right? And how we've seen women in those spaces, right? And I just want to like get your views, right, before we just move on, right? In 2018 or 2019? 2018, yeah. When the Fees Must Fall was at its peak. In Vets, there were women talking about like being half naked. There were women who decided, I don't know why, and I don't know what was like the reason behind it, right? But they were like, we as like women in like these institutions, we want to be heard too. And from then, what happened was they started to walk half naked, right? What do you think? What was happening in that space?
I think it's a statement piece.
Yeah,
You know, sometimes you want someone to listen to you and they're not. You're shouting and they're not listening to you. You
Yeah.
have to approach it from a different angle, and it had to be that angle for them. And maybe it worked for them because I feel like they were trying to get attention and they did it in a way they knew would work.
yeah. Katie?
Yeah, I also think, you know how us girls, if you don't listen to us, you're gonna listen. And one way
Sure.
people are gonna listen is if maybe you make that big dramatic thing that's gonna draw people's attention. So I think, yeah, it feeds into that. Or if you're not gonna listen to what I have to say
Yeah.
when I'm voicing it out to you, then I'll say it with my body.
But did they have to be half naked for a statement to be heard?
Think about it this way, né? Women have always been kind of sort of oppressed within the spaces they find themselves in.
Sure.
They've always had to make sure that they prove themselves more each time to show that I'm capable of doing this. These are my potentials that I have. And I think it was valid. What do you think? I think it was valid.
And currently, because we are having the national funding and NSFAS, student aid scheme, right? Nyayaz, guys, nyayaz. But we are having the funding scheme, which is like defunding students, right? What can women in like institutions learn from those, right? I mean, like, I personally don't want to see like women half naked again, like in order for like
To be heard.
to be heard.
Yeah.
And like people were even making jokes about it, and it wasn't really nice. You know, on like big platforms, like it was not taken serious till it had to be taken serious, right? What can young women do now? More especially because you both are still like studying too, right? You both are furthering your studies, and I'm thinking, what can women do, you know, which is not going to be what happened in 2018?
I think it's now women have to have don't want to say a platform, but I want like it. Women have to have a space where they can congregate it from different like institutions.
Okay.
You know, so now we're saying that we are bringing collective ideas from different people together, and they do something. It doesn't have to be that they have to take off their clothes. It could be digital. It could be anything. They could be creative in the
Yeah.
way that they bring the message forth.
Okay. And Katie? On your
Yeah, I was
side?
just gonna piggyback on what she said to be like interventions. I think, I think even though like when they were doing that statement piece, like it showed some sort of unity amongst women and the fact that they would come together and do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I think now even they could do that in the platforms that she mentioned, just to really
Yes.
show that there are other ways, in fact, that we can make people hear us out.
With that being said, right, we have a thing that we do here on the IroC podcast, which is basically to just like shout out or give like a shout out specific person, organization, I was gonna say you both think about it and then like you both nominate like one person or one organization, like, but it would be unfair because like there's so much greatness out there, right?
Yeah.
So I'll just give like each one of you a chance to nominate their community hero, tell us why, and we'll just take it from there. But to people who are viewing it for the first time, nominate your hero. It's a thing that we do on every episode, just to say shout out to people who are doing the greatness in different communities, be it that they are recognized or they are not recognized. Here on the IroC podcast, personally, I recognize you, and this platform recognizes you too. So, ladies, take it away. Yeah.
I don't have a specific person because I haven't been in a space where there's like one person doing a certain thing.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that happened where I come from that really resonated with me because there was a lot of trash in one place. Especially when it rains, it was a mess. But
Sure.
then a group of men and women were like, we've had enough of this because there's hawkers on the other side. These people are selling meat and stuff, and there's trash on the side, and it's not correlating. So these people took it upon themselves to actually clean the
Nice.
space and then maintain it so that when a person is coming to them, they're like, hey, siyakubona. So
Yeah.
it's a group of people. Like one night, there was trash and the next day it wasn't, and it's been clean ever since. So it's not like a specific person, but it's a group of people from Pumlong that cleaned up a certain area, and it's been clean ever since. Yeah.
And then
Shout out.
IroC comes in and takes one with the Pumlong, like you don't have struggle. People of Pumlong, bayazithanda, guys. And I see you all there.
I'm gonna bring it closer to home.
Shout outs.
Yeah, because my community here, like my hero in all aspects, is literally my grandma.
Yeah.
She's the one that taught me how to be soft, man. Like how, you must treat people with kindness, do things out of love.
Yeah.
Even though people show you or they ill treat you, you must always just make sure you do it with your, like, wholeheartedly.
Sure.
It must come from your heart. And I think that's what I literally just take with me everywhere I go. Or no matter what, no matter who it is, just do it with love. And if they reciprocate it, then fine. If not, then that's just what I use within the work that I do at school and even in the environmental movement as well.
So it's safe to say umntana kakoko.
Yeah.
Is she still around?
Yes, she turned 88.
88?
Beautiful mama.
Well, okay, because we also to look into the camera and then like tell her, but like I'm thinking Coco is not using YouTube.
But I'll probably make her watch it and be like, I love you so much. You're
Yeah.
the love of my life. Always.
Right. So let's do this. Let's plug this in, right? You're gonna look into that one, that camera, and then you're gonna say, "Shout out, Bagogo."
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to you, Mama, for always making me a greater person every single time. I love you with all my heart, and thank you for showing me what love truly means.
Wow, man. How nice was that? How beautiful was that? Right. But man, shout out to Gogo. Gogo, shout out and thanks. Yazin, like, look at her now. Master's degree, Gogo, Yazin. So, in closing, right? I want us to just put a spotlight on what is it that you currently are doing. You know, different spaces that you guys are like working in, you are volunteering in. What are you doing, and what's your role there as like young Black women?
You wanna go?
No, you can go first.
No, you can go first.
Okay. Well, this year has been it's been a year of note. Yeah. So just recently got back from a YCC camp, Youth Climate Champions.
I thought it was
Youth
commission.
Climate Champions, no.
Yeah.
Boot camp. So there's still the Basque from that.
Sure.
But then I'm currently studying. Yeah, it's going, guys.
Going.
Yeah, it's going.
And it keeps on getting good. Right?
Yeah, but it's I'm learning a lot from
Yeah.
school, and obviously there's the activism happening, being a part of Greenpeace and the eco shapeshifters. So yeah, I'm currently doing that. Yeah, and the year is slowly coming to an end, but hopefully next year it's gonna be way more. There's gonna be more happening. So all the best to myself.
Yeah, and
For
one
the
word
future.
actually that has been coming up on this platform was kancane kancane eco shapeshifters. Guys, you're gonna know about eco shapeshifters. I won't say go somewhere and find out. If you know them, you know them. If you don't, then
You will know.
Like you'll know.
You'll know.
Just watch this podcast.
Be patient.
And then bayeza kancane kancane, you know. So yeah, one member of the ESS
Yes.
is just here, and I mean, like, more of them are still coming. It's like great people, you know. And KT, you're a volunteer now. Where did it start?
That's actually very funny. So it started, I think, last year.
Yeah.
I needed to do this other research project that I really wanted to do. So I love, like, you know, those kind of research projects where you're like cleaning up, getting to know people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I started getting in touch with Planet One and Greenpeace through that, because I really wanted to be exposed to NGOs and
Yeah.
the kind of things that I can do. So then that's where it started. And since last year, June, I've been Planet One's baby.
For real. And now
Since
for how
last
long?
year.
Like not just back from like being an equal education like activist and like for how long have you been like
Legends.
volunteering?
Yo, it's like counting everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yo,
Like everything.
everything.
Like,
Yo, 20, yo.
Legends.
20, yo. I was 16, guys.
so
I was 16.
without exposing someone's age,
It's a long time.
it's been
it's
almost a decade.
I wish I was exposed to the environmental space like you were. I wish I was exposed to it at a
But
much
it
younger
was
age.
challenging.
Yeah.
Yo,
and it was so
it was-
different
Yeah,
from what
but-
it is now.
You know what that is, ne? It just made us to learn more, right? So by the time we were like, okay, not to say we are skipping ship or something like that, but by the time we're like transitioning and we're like, okay, now you've learned this, then we got introduced to that. It made us to realize how much more potential can exist.
Oh, that's so
That is
And
why
there's
she's
always
this good.
Something to take away, guys,
Yeah.
from everything that you've done. You can always say, I was once a facilitator, because once you learn a skill, you
Man.
don't like
Bars.
it stays with you. So yeah.
And she changed some kids. Mina, I know personally, I want in Tembisa. But in closing, right? What do you want to plug? What are you working on right now?
Right now,
Yeah.
I'm finally gonna start because of the conversations we had earlier
Yeah.
about the idea that I had with the solar panels and everything and the teaching people around that and
Sure.
actually having a visual representation of how this whole just transition is gonna work and how it's gonna affect them and stuff like that. So I'm very excited. The part that I'm most excited about is the people part of having to talk to people, teach them something, have them teach me something, because you can't assume that people don't know anything. When you go in there, you're just gonna go there, I'm gonna have big terms and I'm gonna sound fancy and stuff like that. No,
Yes.
it's about learning from other people. So I'm very excited about all that I'm gonna do. So I'm starting out and hopefully it's gonna have a big impact on a lot of people.
Yeah. KT.
Yo, guys, my year has been filled with a lot. So now my October and November looks busier than I thought it would. I started, putting myself in conference spaces, trying to talk about my research, the work that I do. So yeah, I'm going to do a few of those and also work on an initiative that I have that I really want to make sure I pull through on. Because usually we just like, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do it. And then you feel so small. And then you're like, but no one is going to agree to it. But then now I'm just going to be like, you know what? Just put it out there.
Whoever comes. Whoever
Exactly.
gets
Whatever
it,
happens.
Exactly.
Right. Before we close things off, right, I have something in my mind. I'm gonna say it. We are gonna, if you all agree and we commit to it, then now it's October, ne? November, December, January, we are doing it. Ane? January.
Okay.
Beginning of the year, this is what we are doing, right?
Okay.
I am offering the IroC podcast, right? As a platform where you invite one, right? Even if I'm not present and it's just like a FOF, Females Only Festival. Right? So you'll bring one, and we talk about how can young women dominate in the educational spaces. Right? Can we do that?
Definitely.
Definitely.
That's so sweet.
So, ladies and gentlemen, January, it is happening. It is a females only festival where these two ladies are gonna bring their friends and they're gonna talk about dominating in the educational spaces. My name is IroC, and from my lips to God's ears, I hope that your wishes are granted. And just like that, it is a shout out.
Aye.